When is gambling not gambling? Apparently, when it's in a 2K game. My name's Gareth Evans. I'm joined by Mr. Henry Cooper. Buongiorno, Henry. How's it going, dude?
I don't speak any Italian, so I'm just going to speak the Queen's England over here.
Well, I've just got back from Sardinia, which is why I might throw in a couple of curveball Italian words every now and then during this video, so I apologise for that. You know what? I've been away for 11 days in the bliss that is, been not exposed to anything to do with gambling, the games industry, none of the bullshit, right? Yeah. And the first day I got back, we do a video on bloody gambling in games. It's like...
It's meant to be. It's destiny.
Can't get away from it, man. Well, I did for almost 2 weeks, but then the first thing back, it's like slapped in the face with this.
We've got to make up for lost time.
What's been happening, Henry? I've been away and had a break from this, and I'm getting tense already. I've only been in the office for like half an hour. What is this all about? Like, people might have missed it as much as me, so like, fill us in. Like, what?
Right, so there's a basketball game called NBA 2K. It's a very popular series. It's similar to the likes of FIFA or Madden, and it's everything you'd expect from your typical EA or Activision game in terms of horrible monetization and microtransactions and all that sort of stuff.
2K Games, right?
Yeah, so this is by 2K Games, which is one of the other big publishers who make everything. So they've got a new one coming out called NBA 2K20, annual release franchise, and that's out later this week on the 6th of September. There's a franchise that's had loads of issues with, pay-to-win stuff, player progression being locked around microtransactions back in 2K18. Unskippable in-game ads were a recent problem that were in 2K19. That was only a few months ago, and we think we did a video on that. And chances are, if it's a dodgy monetization practice, it's going to be in an NBA 2K game.
Yeah.
Because they are among the worst of the bunch. And now in 2K20, it features a literal slot machine. Yeah. Literally. Like, I can't stress that enough. It's a literal...
Like a one-armed bandit slot machine.
Yeah, like a fruit machine. You pull the handle and it spins 3 little dials.
And that's just one of the things. This is like a Wheel of Fortune wheel where you spin.
There's like a pachinko ball dropping joint.
Oh my god. That's just like, it's just a multitude of gambling mechanics. Like literal representations of gambling.
They've really thrown down the gauntlet of gambling. It's like, the legislation doesn't say it's gambling, so we're going to do everything we can because it's still not gambling.
And YouTube isn't pissed off. Reddit isn't pissed off enough. Let's go see how far we can push them to piss them off with gambling in our games, because people will lap it up. That's the thing with these basketball games. There's very few options when it comes. If you're a basketball fan, you want yearly game, very few options. You've got no other option than to buy this.
So this all got sparked by a new trailer for the game, which is NBA 2K20 My Team. And this features a couple of guys, including prominent NBA 2K YouTuber Cash Nasty, who has about 3 million subs, so he's pretty big.
Cash Nasty.
They go through the game's various non-gambling mechanics, including opening card packs, which isn't that big of a deal these days, unfortunately. I feel like a lot of us have come accustomed to it. Spinning slot machines and using pachinko machines, as well as a Wheel of Fortune type thing. As opposed to actually showing off gameplay of the basketball game, the trailer chooses to focus on the buzz of gambling and how excited these guys are when they open a pack and when they spin the wheel and pull the arm of the slot machine.
And most notably, when they win the big prize, because that's what it shows.
Well, when they pretend to win, going, it
doesn't show them losing over and over again like most people. It shows that one time where they win. Yay! It gives you that adrenaline buzz. That's what you can get from this game. You get this excitement that these people, these characters in our trailer are showing. That's what you can get from playing our game. No, don't worry about shooting the ball into the basket. Don't worry about playing with the players. Don't worry about playing with the teams and the league and all that other thing around basketball. Think about the gambling, guys. It's all about the guy. I went, Mac off Worth the Buy then, didn't I?
So don't worry about playing the actual fun basketball gameplay. It's all about the fun gambling gameplay. To be clear, in legal terms, it's still not gambling in most countries other than Belgium and I believe Holland, because there's no option to cash out, and that's where a lot of this hinges on. But it does have bright colors and exciting sound effects, random rewards and elements of suspense, and it costs real money, but still not gambling. Just
not gambling.
Make that clear.
It looks 100%. Like gambling, smells like gambling, feels like gambling.
It probably is.
Sounds like gambling.
The thing that springs to mind is in Sweeney Todd, when he's speaking to Pirelli and he's trying to sell his wonderful elixir, which is going to make your hair grow, and he's like, looks like piss, smells like piss, this is piss.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
What is this? What is this? Smells like this. Smells like
And naturally, most people aren't happy, at least in the internet community, because as we kind of touched on, people who play this are going to be basketball fans more so than traditional gamers. So they're not really going to care. They can play the game because they want to play the game, and they'll end up getting hooked on all this stuff. So it's not really a concern for them. So the original video, which was published on the NBA 2K channel, is now unlisted. Now that doesn't mean that you can't find it. It just means that you can't access it through their YouTube channel page.
Which is hilarious, right?
Yeah.
Because they originally published it, and due to the backlash, they thought, nah, we're not dealing with this. Let's just unlist this video, not have to deal with the fallout.
Even though they didn't really hide it because they didn't put it on private or delete it.
They still want it there.
Yeah,
they just don't want people seeing it.
You can get to it through links and URLs on other sites and stuff. So
they're just so ashamed of it that they just want to hide it from general population.
And they should be ashamed, because in its 167,000 views, it's got 18,000 downvotes and 3.5 thousand upvotes. So a few people are up for it, but most people think this is utter bullshit. And
it's like 12% downvotes in the views, and the upvotes is like 2% or something stupid like that. So it just goes to, people have had their say on this trailer, and they've reacted with, we're just trying to stop shining a light on it, basically. And I think that whole scenario is quite hilarious, that they just react like that. It's a problem. Let's just ignore it. Let's just ignore the problem.
It's gone. So many of the comments on that video are just, oh, unlisted, what a coward. Oh, look, you're brave, and all that sort of kind of stuff, because it's totally true. Yeah. There is another trailer which is still up, and that's on the Game Trailers channel, which has about 27,000 views, and still it's 4.3 thousand down and 86 up, and that's not 86,000, that is just 86. 86. My favorite comment about this whole thing is on one of the Reddit threads about it from Ari1986. Thought this was a clickbait headline, but holy shit. And that's exactly what I thought when I saw this. It's like NBA 2K gambling. I was like, oh yeah, here we go. It's the same old shtick we've seen 100 times before, but it's not. It's so much worse. And it goes on, slot machines, big prize wheels, RNG gambling. They aren't even trying to be subtle anymore. It's like the ad celebrates the gambling mechanics more than the fucking gameplay. Absolutely true.
And it's like they don't give a fuck about the backlash.
No,
like it's just so brazen.
Yeah,
so brazen, isn't it? They recognize that people don't like this, but they don't care. They're going hard at it and they're flying in the face of it. And if any criticism comes, they're just going to ignore it.
I almost respect their confidence in doing this.
Respect the balls on it.
Yeah, because I feel like they're going to be like, right, we'll put everything into this game. We'll make as much money as we can from this game. And then by next year, when gambling laws might have altered, they might stop it. But by then, we will have made a new game which we can comply to the new rules. So we'll just put everything bad in this one and get it out of the way.
You realise by saying you respect, almost respect, you're going to get so many negative comments. How the this is gambling, all those negative points. Just chill out, guys.
Yeah,
we don't actually respect
the confidence in their conviction. Part of this problem is that it's a kids game, right? It's rated E in the US under the ESRB, which means it's available to everyone, and it's rated 3+ by PEGI in Europe.
Yeah, let's be honest, right? If it was 18+ and it was gambling like it is, and it is gambling, it wouldn't be a problem. Kids wouldn't be able to play it technically. It's just adults who are on 21+, whatever your gambling like law is locally. If it's 21+, if that was the game, we wouldn't have a problem here. Like people, if you want to make a game about gambling, that's fine. Stick a gambling sticker on it. Stick a 21+ on it. That's fine. But this isn't it, right? No. This is not it.
So if you don't know who PEGI are, they are the Pan-European Game Information Body type thing. They do all the ratings. And when asked about whether they think this is gambling, they totally avoided the question, but did say, and this is a quote, too close for comfort for some people. So this email, which they sent out, has found its way to Reddit, and I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a bit long.
Oh, so this was just a Redditor who contacted them and they replied to him.
Yeah, so this is just a regular Reddit user who's contacted them expressing their concerns.
Okay.
And they've then replied. But it essentially hinges on the fact that it doesn't teach people how to gamble. My first quote here is, the game must actually teach the player how to gamble or bet and or encourage the player to want to gamble or bet money in real life. The trailer includes imagery that is generally known from casinos, Wheel of Fortune, slot machines. Using this sort of mechanic to select an item or character or action by chance is not the same as teaching how to gamble for money in a casino. These differences currently prevent us from applying the gambling descriptor.
This is nonsense, right? So the game must actually teach the player how to gamble or bet, okay? That's the premise, right? Yeah. If it teaches a player how to gamble or bet. Obviously, my first reaction is yes, it does teach them how to gamble or bet because there's a slot machine, there's a Wheel of Fortune spinner thing, and then they say it doesn't teach them how to gamble or bet because this is not how you gamble for money me, in a casino.
Yeah, not all gambling happens in a casino.
Exactly. It's like, if this isn't like it happens in a casino, so it's fine. It's like how close to a casino does it have to be? Like, if you stood outside, if it's outside the front door of the casino and there's a one-armed bandit, it's not gambling because it's not like, 'cause it's not in a casino, because it's not dark in there, right? It's light outside the front door, so it's not like gambling in a casino, so it's actually not gambling according to PEGI.
And of course, it will teach you how to do it, because most games, if they have a system, it gives you a tutorial on how to use that system.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the game definitely will, but it's going to teach you how to use these card opening packs, even if it's one bulletin pop-up when you first log into the game. Oh, look at card packs. This is how it works. These are your things. Go have fun. That's teaching you how to do it.
Yeah, and more important than the technicality of how to pull the arm of the one-armed bandit, which is what they're focusing on, the technical aspect of it. Teaching you in terms of emotionally getting attacked. You know, it's the process of anticipation of the prize, of the positive feedback you get when you win versus the negative and you wanting to spin again when you don't. It's that whole process of emotions that you go through when you gamble, which is exactly identical to what this is in this game, which is why it is like teaching a person how to gamble. And I think it's cowardly in my eyes.
If it doesn't conform to PEGI's descriptor, PEGI might need to change its descriptor if it is just hinging around the casino's angle, because as you just said, if you're outside a casino and doing the gambling things, it's still gambling. It then kind of goes on to highlight that it can't make a decision based on a trailer, which at first you're like, oh yeah, I guess that's fair enough, but the game's coming out this week. You've already rated it, which means you already have some understanding of what's in it, which means you should already have known this stuff is in it. But anyway, the quote is, "It's important to stress that the controversial imagery played a central role in the trailer, but it may not necessarily do so in the game, which has not yet been released. At this point in time, PEGI can only comment on the trailer that has been made publicly available."
I think this is more them saying, all you can see so far is this trailer. Don't you jump to conclusions, because they've obviously had to analyze the game in order to rate it, like they do with anything. When they come out with these ratings for any games, they've probably looked at it in great detail and they know the answers to these, right? So what this says to me is that they're saying you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. It's just a trailer. You should not jump to conclusions. That's the way I'm interpreting this anyway.
Well, the way I see it is, from the point of a rating is to inform the consumer as much as possible about what you're about to get. But if this is in there in any way, it should be mentioned. Like if there's one sex scene in a game or movie or anything, it has to be mentioned on the thing.
Absolutely.
Because on the back of the PEGI box, don't know if everyone's aware, but there's the little male and female symbols interlocked. That's the sex thing. Yeah. Even if it's not a theme of the game, even if it's not constant throughout, if there is one romantic scene, that's going to be tagged for sex for just that 5-minute section.
Imagine how absolutely livid you would be if you were a adult or a parent buying this for your child, 5, 6, 7-year-old or whatever. That's what they're for, right? That's what these ratings are for. So you can look at the back of the box and see if there's any graphic violence, any nudity, any gambling, any of that sort of stuff that you need to protect your kids from. You see that it's clean, you buy the game, and it turns out it's gambling simulator. Yeah. And it's exactly what it looks like from the outset here. Obviously, we've not had hands on it like PEGI are suggesting we don't jump to conclusions, but it looks and smells and sounds like gambling. Like we said earlier, it is gambling, and you'd be absolutely livid.
The whole time, PEGI are just trying to wash its hands of the whole thing, and it kind of closes what it's saying with, "The games industry is evolving constantly and rapidly in recent years. As a rating organisation, we need to ensure that these developments are reflected in our classification criteria. We do not base our decisions on the content of a single trailer, but we will properly assess how the rating system and the video games industry in general should address these concerns." Well, you can say, oh, we should do this. We will properly assess. We should already have been doing that. That's the assumption in your bodies, that you are doing that. You are doing your job properly.
That's what you'd assume, right? Because you'd assume that they've thoroughly checked this game for the content before rating it, and they're suggesting here that that they haven't. Yeah. Isn't that what they're saying?
Yeah, because they don't think it's gambling, but I think most people will consider that it is gambling.
The whole point of the PEGI rating system is to know before you buy the game, before you go in, what is in the game. And it's what it does, it completely undermines the whole PEGI rating system if they're unable to classify and forewarn people of these mechanics that are in this game. And it just makes a mockery of the whole system, of the whole PEGI system. They're basically defunct these if they're not warning parents who need to have this knowledge before they buy the games for the kids, if they're not protecting kids from these types of gambling mechanics, it makes them completely useless. The problem for me is that it just looks like a mobile game. It looks like a free-to-play mobile game. This is a separate issue, right? The issue about protecting children from these types of gambling mechanics is one thing. The fact that, as a consumer who's been playing games for 30 odd years and never has to deal with this bullshit, this whole game just looks like a money spinning thing, like putting extra money into a full price game afterwards. It's not a free-to-play game. It's not a mobile game. All these mechanics that come over from mobile gaming, you completely strip the soul out of this game in order to monetize it to the max, and that is, it's a separate issue, and it's a personal issue, and again, it's something that you might have different feelings for. People might just ignore them and not care, but I don't, because it's a travesty, and it's ruining the gamers industry. It's just too much. Like it's overboard, it's too much, and it just shines light on how greedy these effing bastards are, ruining our industry.
It is gambling, and it needs to be put on the box, because can you imagine if your kid, little Timmy, little 5-year-old Timmy's playing his basketball game, he loves the Lakers, and he wants to play as them in his game, and then out of nowhere there's a big explosion, and there's loads of violence, and everyone's getting beaten up, and there's blood everywhere, but the blood's blue, so it's not real blood, so technically it doesn't qualify as violence, so we're not going to put it on the box. You're still going to be furious, because that's not a game you want your child to be playing, because it is still violence. It's the same thing. It's another adult theme that shouldn't be in a child-friendly game. There's the question of the people buying into this stuff, which I've always wondered, is what's the point in buying it for an annual release franchise when by 1 year's time all of the money you've spent, potentially hundreds of pounds or dollars or whatever, is wasted, because by the time the next game comes out, everything resets.
It's lunacy. Isn't it Einstein who said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results? Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
It's insanity to me. I just don't understand these people who buy this game. And I get that they want to play basketball. I get that they want to play with the latest players and the latest leagues or whatever, latest stats on these players. But it's complete insanity. I can't get my head around it. I would just be out of there. I guess some people are just gluttons for punishment.
Punish me, punish me.
But to me, the real question around all of this is that, does this qualify as a surprise mechanic?
Wow.
Have 2K just given EA the keys to the kingdom and given them the next big idea for the next FIFA?
Surprise mechanics. EA can get away with it. Why can't 2K? Well, 2K are getting away with it. Do you expect EA to follow suit and do the same kind of bullshit? You can guarantee if this was EA, this would be all over the place. I'm not saying that this isn't a big issue, but EA did not get away with this with Battlefront 2, and hopefully, enough people are shining a light on this, as we count ourselves among them, in order to stop this bullshit happening, make the groundswell big enough that they take notice and they don't just unlist their videos to try and get away from the controversy.
Well, make sure you let us know what you think down below. Is this gambling? I'll give you a clue. It definitely is. Make sure you hit that like button, hit subscribe, go on over to our Patreon at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. I've been Henry. He's been Gaz. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.